Hey everybody, so for today's vlog I decided I was going to talk about rawhide. If you have a dog, this is probably something you're pretty familiar with. A lot of times veterinarians are going to recommend rawhide for dogs for helping with their teeth and gums and sort of helping to clean up plaque and tartar buildup and all that kind of stuff. However, there is a pretty big downside to rawhide. And it's not something that a lot of people are aware of, but if it happens to you, or to your dog I should say, it's something that you could be paying for in the long run. The main problem with rawhide is that it is not something that a dog's system digests completely, or very efficiently for that matter. For adult dogs, they have a little bit better tendency to be able to break down rawhide within their digestive tract. Puppies, not so much. The main problem with rawhide is that when it gets wet, it has a tendency to soften. If you've ever had a dog with rawhide, you'll see him, chewing on it constantly, and he'll be able to bite pieces off as he goes. Because rawhide doesn't digest completely within a dog's digestive system, what can happen is that these undigested chunks of rawhide can be floating through your dog's digestive tract, through the intestines, and what can happen is these little pieces, sometimes big pieces, can get stuck within the intestinal tract. And if your dog is a really active chewer, or a puppy that's going through a teething phase, or just a general chewer that's getting a lot into his system, a lot of times flavored rawhide will make dogs want to chew on it more. What can happen then is if one piece gets stuck, a lot of times any pieces coming in after that can get stuck as well in that same spot, and ultimately it can cause a blockage. It's very expensive to get fixed, and it's very painful for the dog. So you have to be careful what kind of rawhide that you're allowing your dog to eat. There's a lot of different ones that are out there. There are just the plain strips, which are basically just a single layer of rawhide. It's pretty popular with most dog owners to get those for their dogs because there's quite a few that are in a bag. And for the most part, the majority of dogs don't go through them that fast. Rawhide can get expensive, so most pet owners usually like to save money where they can because pets are expensive and dogs quite a bit so. So there's just sort of like the single layer strips. There's the usual bones that have been tied together, and there's a lot of different shapes and such like that. Any sort of rawhide that is a single layer like that, or can eventually be pulled apart, those tend to be probably the worst kind that you can get for a dog, especially ones that are flavored. With either peanut butter or beef, bacon sometimes, chicken. So you have to be careful because with something that can break down that fast, if it's flavored, the dog obviously wants to chew on it longer, and so in that case they're going to be able to get more into their system. So if you are determined to do rawhide for your dog, there's two kinds that you can do that are going to be less hazardous for their health and for your pocketbook. There's a kind that's called munchies, and if you take a look through any pet stores rawhide area, you're going to see they're going to either be in either a strip, or usually they're in sticks, rounded sticks. And usually what it is, it looks like rawhide that's been put through a blender and then has been sort of fused back together again. Those are going to be safer than regular rawhide in a sense, because once it gets into their system, it's going to break apart into all those tiny little pieces, and it's going to go through their digestive tract much more easily than a solid piece of rawhide will. The downside is what's out there is mostly flavored, but there are some natural flavored munchies that are out there. Most dogs like to do just plain natural flavored rawhide anyway. The other kind that you can do, which is usually what I recommend, especially to people that have puppies, if they are insistent on giving their puppies rawhide. The other kind is called a compressed bone, or a pressed rawhide bone. And basically what it is several layers of rawhide that have been fused together or compressed. it lasts quite a bit longer, and dogs can't get quite as much into their system. They have to work a lot harder for it. The downside of these ones is that sometimes if you do like a bone, or one that's, you know, the shape of a traditional bone, there can be loose pieces of rawhide that are on the inside of it. So usually you have to kind of watch for those. With any kind of a bone, actual bone, because you can find ham bones, beef bones, hocks, really any kind of a bone matter, and rawhide, you have to make sure that once the piece that they have left over, if it's small enough they can actually fit the entire thing in their mouth, you have to take it away because it's a choking hazard for them. So that's kind of what I've got for you guys. I typically never recommend doing rawhide for dogs unless there's really no other alternative. I never recommend it for puppies just because with their chewing habits, it can cause some big problems in a very tiny body. If you're going to give rawhide to a dog, try not to give it to them until they're considered mature or an adult. For small breeds, you're looking at about a year, and for large breed dogs, you're usually looking at about 15 to 18 months. Large breeds tend to mature more slowly than the small breed dogs do, so they're still considered a puppy when they get to be around, you know, the 12-month mark. So if you're going to give rawhide, try to give one that's going to be a little bit of a safer kind. Keep in mind, like I said, anything that's flavored they're going to want to chew on longer, so they'll probably be able to get it down faster. And also be careful of anything that has coloration to it. A lot of times the beef ones are like red in color. Peanut butter is usually some kind of a brownish color. You have to be careful where you let your dog chew on these because those colors will leach, and if you let them into a carpeted area, you're going to get staining on your carpeting. So just something to be careful of and think about. So if you can, try not to give your dog rawhide unless you absolutely have to. There's a lot of other chew products that are out there, and I'll go over some of them at another point. Check out some stuff first before you consider doing rawhide. Even if a veterinarian tells you it's okay to give to your dog, you have to weigh the pros and the cons to it. If it's just a matter of dental health, there are always other ways to keep your dog's teeth and gums healthy without putting them at risk of ingesting something that they won't be able to pass. So I hope this helped you guys out. If you have any questions or comments, let me know, and if you have any suggestions of a video you'd like me to do on any kind of animal that's considered a pet, dog, cat, small animals, birds, reptiles, fish, nutrition if you want, just let me know, leave me a comment, send me a message, and I guess that's it. So you guys have a great day, and I'll see you next time.